Chapter 3, The Christmas Day Murders, Inquest number 726, 727, and 728. I wrote the following piece for the Winona Times for December 2010. Strange that I would be recording this Christmas Eve 2011. I know this is not a subject that we like to talk about during the holiday season, but it could save a life. The holidays bring joy to most of us as families get together, feast together, and even worship together. On the other hand, for many, it's different. The joy is gone, usually because someone is missing or economically they're unable to do what they'd really like to do. People drink alcohol or take drugs to numb the pain, which makes the situation worse. Usually I see a rise in homicides and suicides around Christmas. This year it started before Thanksgiving. People who commit such acts do not realize the devastation they cause, especially around the holiday season. In fact, they are thinking mostly of themselves without realizing there are people out there who really care. People who will not understand and will wonder why or what could I have done for the rest of their lives. In most cases, serious depression precedes the action. When clinical depression hits, logic goes out the window. One feels down, maybe without any reason. The feelings are real, and it's only natural that someone would look for a reason for feeling this way. That's where the danger comes in. Without outside help, people focus blame on someone else or on themselves. Often they feel alone and finally come to feel that the world and themselves would be better off if they were dead. We need to be aware of the feelings of others and ourselves. If you are harboring such feelings or someone you know even hints at such, take it seriously. Depression can be dealt with much more easily in its early stages. Most of us live through some depression during our lifetime without professional help. But help is there. There are family and friends, and if all else fails, there's even me. Call somebody. Don't mess up my holiday. Finally, remember the good times of Christmas past and plan on making this one a pleasant memory. Judge Mitch. As far back as I can remember, Christmas was the biggest and most memorable day of the year. Growing up, Christmas was not only the birthday of the church, it was bigger than my own birthday. Bigger parties and bigger presents. A real tree, probably stolen from a country fence row, moved into our living room and we strung ancient lights in its branches. The bulbs on the oldest string of lights were shaped and painted angels, Santa, reindeer, and manger animals. One light was a white snowman wearing a black top hat and a red scarf. The painted snowman was so old and scratched that bright light would sparkle through the cracks in his paint. If Frosty was real, I knew he would look just like that old light. Every year, some of the shape bulbs would die to be replaced with regular Christmas lights. In that way, Christmas would change a little every year. The lights reflected gloriously off thousands of strands of individual icicles delicately draped from the top to the bottom of the tree. Glass balls of various sizes and colors added even more reflections to the visual effect. Sound effects also played a role. Occasionally, a thin ornament hit the wood floor and popped. The cat also enjoyed the tree. What were you doing on Christmas morning 1999? The telephone rings just after 6 a.m. on December 25th, 1999. Judge, I'm Casey, a nurse at East Texas Medical Center Emergency Room. I need to notify you of a death. Being awakened from a deep sleep by a call from a hospital would alarm most people, but not me. I've become accustomed to it. It happens all the time. In Smith County, a judge must be called any time a trauma patient dies in a hospital, and hospital policy dictates a call for everyone who dies within 24 hours of admission. The only twist to this call was that it came on Christmas morning. But then again, I had done 4 inquests the night before on Christmas Eve. "You know, it's still dark outside," I say to the receiver as I climb out of bed. I gather my thoughts and prepare mentally for what is to follow. "Hold on, let me get my paperwork." In the darkness, I slip on yesterday's pants and retrieve the inquest paperwork lying on the headboard of the waterbed. The kitchen serves as a temporary office this early in the morning. Walking down the hallway, I think about my childhood and the many Christmas mornings on which I awoke before the sun came up, with great expectations. What would I find under the tree? All alone and as quiet as I could be, I would sneak into the den, illuminated by the colored lights on the tree. The cookies we had left out for Santa were always gone. I would check my stockings first. It was cheating, I knew, to use one of Mom's nylon stockings, but their size relative to that of my own socks made it irresistible. A recycled woman's stocking can hold an amazing amount of fruit, firecrackers, Matchbox cars, sparklers, bottle rockets, harmonicas, toys, and candy. One year, Santa must have been as poor as we were, because I saw only a few gifts under the tree, most of them wrapped. Wrapped presents meant gifts from people. Our Santa wasn't much of a gift wrapper. After a quick survey of the situation, 9-year-old me decided to look further around the tree. Behind it, I found a gift-wrap box with my name on it, 3 inches thick and 6 inches wide and 4 feet long. I took the package, hefted it up to guess its weight, and puzzled over what might be inside. I knew it would be dishonest, wrong to open it, but curiosity and the magic of Christmas morning got the best of me. I decided to open the box just enough so I could figure out what was inside. I peeled back the cellophane tape and unfolded the wrapping paper on one end of the box. I could see Montgomery Ward written on one end of the box. That was all I dared to see. I folded the wrapping back the way it was and hid my deception. I had a good idea of what was in the box. My curiosity satisfied somewhat and my appetite to adventure lessened. I tiptoed back down the hallway to my bedroom. The next morning, the family gathered in the living room to open gifts. "Here's one for Mitch from Sister Perry," my sister Susie announced as she pulled the long box from behind the tree. I felt a moment's regret. I knew I shouldn't have peeked under the wrapping. There would be no surprise for me. I felt guilty, even though the only person I harmed was myself. That little voice we used to call the conscience told me I had done wrong. "You should have listened to me," my conscience admonished me. "You cannot change what you have done, but you can stop the deception." Sheepishly, I confessed, "I know what it is." Everyone looked at me. "It's a maternity ward." Surely confession is good for the soul. I looked around only to see a group of adults staring at me as though I'd come from another world. Even with the benefit of hindsight and experience, I can only imagine what they were thinking. My thoughts were on the contents of the box. Perhaps a stethoscope, medical tools, maybe a surgical mask, and other tools of the doctor trade. I expected that opening the box would be anticlimactic, but I received the most wonderful surprise when I opened the box to reveal a wonderful bow and 6 metal-tipped arrows. So maybe I am a little dyslexic. Sitting down at the kitchen table, I asked the nurse, "What do we have?" "Randy Burton, a 25-year-old white female, was in an MVA this morning," said Nurse Casey, using the common abbreviation for motor vehicle accident. "Middle name?" "Ray." "Date of birth?" I proceed from there to get the information identification. "Where did the accident happen?" "Somewhere around Carthage." "Carthage is 70 miles away. Send her back," I said, joking. "Do you know any particulars?" No on both. She was transported by Air One from the Carthage Hospital, and there's nothing in her medical chart. Don't pull any tubes or clean her up till I call you. My search for information begins. Department of Public Safety, can I help you? It's the DPS dispatcher. Merry Christmas, this is Judge Shamburger. So nice of you to call so early in the morning, she says mockingly. I wish. Fatality out of Carthage. Happened this morning around 5. I think I heard something about it earlier. Let me see what I can find and I'll call you back. Decision time. Do I go to the hospital? Do I go back to bed? Do I wait for a return call? Do I eat more of Santa's cookies? I wait 10 minutes and the phone rings. It's Trooper Ball from Carthage DPS. I understand Miss Burton passed away. Correct, I respond. I need details. Single car rollover happened about 5 o'clock this morning. I was on State Highway 149, 2.5 miles north of Beckville. She was the passenger. Seatbelt? Nope. Alcohol? Yep. You think charges might be filed? There's a strong possibility, Judge. The driver tested positive for alcohol. Autopsy? Please. Do you think Panola County would pay for it? Sometimes the requesting county will pay for the autopsy, but usually it will not. Most people don't think about $2,500 of their tax money going for an autopsy. I do. It comes from my budget. I fret about it, especially when I know the results will be blunt force injuries or a gunshot wound to the head. Autopsies with those results don't tell me much of anything beyond what could be seen with a casual glance of the body. Judge, that question goes beyond my pay grade. I'll handle it. Can you fax me an accident report when it gets finished? No problem, Judge. Merry Christmas, I say, as I move on with the inquest. Because there will be an autopsy, it's not necessary for me to view the body at the hospital. The pathologist will make a much better witness than I would. Outside it's a brisk 60 degrees and typical for an East Texas Christmas. I hop into the car and drive 3 blocks to my office and coordinate releasing the body, transporting it, setting up an autopsy, and finish the paperwork. Southwest Institute of Forensic Science. Conclusion. It is our opinion that Randy Ray Burton, a 25-year-old white female, died as the result of blunt force trauma. The family of this college student will remember this Christmas Day, 1999. The Christmas after the maternity ward incident, I was 10 years old. My double-digit age meant I was growing up and able to face new responsibilities and receive more complex gifts. With everyone still soundly asleep, I went again into the den. Under the tree, I found a shiny chrome air rifle, a pellet gun, with just a ribbon and a gift tag on it for decoration. I already had a BB gun, but this weapon was twice as heavy. It had bolt action. I pulled the bolt action back with a click and looked into the empty chamber. It was a single shot. It required 1 pellet, or in a tight spot you could use a BB, to be placed into the chamber. I had no pellets or BBs, but I figured Santa would take care of that later. I sat on the floor Indian style with the gun in my lap. I caressed the cold steel framework of the rifle and grasped the wooden stock on the pump handle. An air rifle is as powerful as the pumper. The stronger the person doing the pumping, the more deadly the weapon can be. I gave it 1 pump just to get the feel of compressing the air. I shouldered the wooden stock into my bony clavicle and put my cheek against it, looking down the sights. I aimed at a large red ornament on the tree. Then I moved the bead and took aim at the little angel sitting on top of the tree. She was lit from within. She was within my sights. I pulled off. Who would shoot a Christmas tree? That's almost sacrilegious. Sacrilegious is a big word I heard the preacher use. The room's main lighting fixture was hung from the ceiling centered. The round glass fixture, white with clear trim, was about 2 feet across and held in place by a centered 2-inch circular brass cap. My new target. I knew the gun was empty. I'd just looked into the chamber. I pumped the gun only once, so it shouldn't make that much noise. I didn't want to wake anyone up at 3 o'clock in the morning. That brass ring fit so well within my sights. I slowly squeezed the trigger. I was right. The gun only made a little poof sound. Things seemed to slow down. I saw an indentation appear in the brass cap. I heard a click sound. Maybe it's not a single shot. The glass light fixture split into 2 half moons and began to fall away with a gentle roll to the outside, like when the coverings of a rocket or satellite fall away in outer space like slow motion. I could only sit and watch as the pieces completed a rotation and then flatly hit the floor. The silence broke with a crash. As real time returned, my family gathered quickly, all of them standing at the large opening in the den, viewing me sitting on the floor in the middle of 1,000 pieces of broken glass, my new pellet gun resting across my lap. "Are you all right?" they asked, and someone with shoes on lifted me up and carried me to safety. I didn't think it was loaded. It was my only explanation. "It's unloaded guns that kill people," Dad said. It was not the first or the last time I would hear that statement. "To bed now," said Mom, and we all went back to bed, where I stayed until I could smell the bacon cooking. By 6:45 a.m. I'm back home, shucking off my clothes, hopeful for another hour or two of shut-eye. The telephone rings again at 6:50 a.m. So much for going back to sleep. "Judge, we have a bad one." This time it's Tammy, the dispatcher from the Smith County Sheriff's Department. "What's up?" "Looks like a double homicide. They need you in Chapel Hill." I gently roll out of the waterbed, but not gently enough. Faye is an early to bed and early to rise, and sleeps like a rock in between. Her normal day starts at 6 a.m. "Didn't you just come in?" she asked. "Yeah, and now I have another one. Sounds bad." "You want me to fix you some coffee to go?" We live on coffee in the morning. "I'm going to try to make it quick," I said, putting on yesterday's clothes. "I'll try to be back before everyone gets up." "That's not going to happen," she says. She knows how long my quick trips can be. Sunrise is approaching. It's 12 miles to the scene. I think about how not Christmas it is to be murdered on Christmas Day. A double homicide usually means a man and a woman. One shoots the other and then commits suicide. It happens far more than I would like. And often it happens around Christmas. I noticed several homes with lighted trees in the windows and some with outside Christmas lights burning, some extravagant and some simple, all with a message of hope and joy. Several police cars are parked in the yard of the mobile home that is my destination. Their red and blue lights twinkle much brighter than the Christmas lights. Yellow crime tape marks the boundaries of hope and joy. The house is located in the countryside and sits close to another house. "That house belongs to the parents or one of the victims," says an officer, pointing to the house next door. Beside the police cars, the yard holds several vehicles, including a dark pickup. The yards of both houses appear neatly kept. Indoor lights shine from the windows of both houses, but Christmas lights adorn neither house nor yard. "Judge, this is a strange one," Detective Rasco tells me. "He's been there since 4:58, processing the scene. Looks like someone tried to cut the phone wires, but the phone still worked. No sign of forced entry. The story is their teenage daughter heard gunshots and footsteps in the house. She escaped to run over to her grandparents' house and call 911. We walk over to a telephone pole. An officer shines his flashlight into a plastic box of color-coded spaghetti wires. Did she go there because she thought the phone didn't work? If so, she thought wrong and she knew the wires were cut. Let's see what we have. We walk towards the front door and I smell smoke. Yeah, it looks like they had a bonfire. A couple of beer cans are on the tailgate, Roscoe says, pointing to the pickup. As a rule, activity is kept to a minimum at crime scenes. The fewer footprints, fingerprints, the better. I want to see the area frozen in time in order to reconstruct just what happened. Some crime scene investigators are overly ambitious in bagging evidence and moving things. They forget that a coroner also has a job to perform. The first thing I notice is the complete absence of Christmas decorations. This could mean they have a different religious belief than me, or maybe they just don't believe in decorating. Some Christian religions reject the pagan rituals attached to Christmas. Then there are Muslims, Hindu, Jewish, and other religions, and even non-believers who don't recognize Jesus as Savior. But in the United States, many of them celebrate Xmas on the side. Bodies are back here, Roscoe says. We walk through the living room and down a hallway. Like most families, Faye and I created our own Christmas traditions, usually beginning with a saw, axe, or hatchet, and a ride to Mom and Dad's ranch. Even with the 12-foot ceilings, we would sometimes have to cut a tree down to size. Some trees were a little spindly. One year we even had a longleaf pine, but they were always real trees. Lights, ornaments, tinsels, and icicles filled the deficiencies and deformities. Handmade stockings hung across the fireplace with felt letters spelling out the names of Amy, Lena, Noah, Mom, and Dad. These stockings would not hold as much as the nylon hose that I grew up with, filled with fireworks and toys and other goodies. The chilly, formal living room warms up during Christmas. Early Christmas mornings were quiet around our house. They would have coffee ready before anyone else got out of bed. Family traditions often clash. Didn't we go to your family's Christmas Day last year? But we spent Christmas Eve with your family, and we had Thanksgiving at... To accommodate as many as possible, we run from house to house, family to family, meal to meal, meal to meal, meal to meal, loading and unloading presents all along the way. Sure, it was fun watching Aunt Diddy scream at the Dallas Cowboys on TV, and the food is different and delicious everywhere. But all the kids want to do is go home and play with their new toys. Anything missing besides Christmas? I ask. No, Roscoe answers. In fact, there's money, guns, and plenty of stuff to take, but I don't see any signs of a burglary or a robbery. The girl's story won't hold water. The bedroom door opens to a good-sized bedroom, dwarfed by a large bed with a turned maple headboard. A bullet hole pierces the window above the supine body of a woman lying in bed. Daughter said she heard 4 shots, said Roscoe, pointing to the window. The shooter was not the best shot in the world. 2 small dogs stand guard over the mother lying on her back, and the covers are still in place. A light tan chihuahua sits on the pillow next to her head, and a dark, long-haired dog is curled and nestled between her right arm and torso. Her light-colored nightshirt is stained with blood. She and the dogs are the only ones on the bed. We decided to leave the dogs alone for now, Roscoe says. We don't want them to contaminate the scenes by running around or trying to catch them. They're not barking. In fact, they haven't moved since we've been here. The long-hair just lies there like he wants to go to sleep. The chihuahua looks around nervously but doesn't shake like chihuahuas sometimes do. Look at them. They know something's wrong. Pathology Associates of Tyler, PA. The body is that of a slightly heavy-set white woman whose appearance is consistent with the given age of 43 years. Final pathological diagnosis. 1. Gunshot wound to the head. 2. Gunshot wound to the arm. 3.
Status post-resection of the neuroendothelioma remote. Opinion. In my opinion, the cause of death is gunshot wound to the head. At one side of the bed on the floor, sitting in his underwear, is the father, his left hand reaching towards a gun under the bed. He's overweight, but so am I, so are most of us. What could anyone do to deserve this? He didn't die in his sleep. I wonder how secure he felt going to bed with several weapons within his grasp. How many nights did he go to bed with the thought that he may have to protect himself and his family, with protection meaning quick access to a gun? Then the nightmare happened. A gunshot, or was it gunshots? He knew something was going down. He rolled to his right, sliding off the bed, just like he had planned, just like he had done in his mind so many times before. He reaches under the bed, feeling for the pistol. Then 4 inches from reaching his security, he looks up. Did he see his killer and hesitate? Boom. It's all over. Pathology Associates of Tyler, PA. The body is that of a trunky, obese white man whose appearance is consistent with the given age of 44 years. Final pathological diagnosis. 1. Gunshot wound to the head and neck. 2. Obesity. 3. Mild arteriosclerotic heart disease. 4. Prostatic hyperplasia. Opinion. In my opinion, the cause of death is gunshot wound to head and neck. We found something in the girl's closet. That observation comes from Special Agent Milslegel of the FBI. When it comes to murder, we take all the help we can get. Law enforcement personnel may complain about their jobs and the hours they work, but they live for moments like this, especially when a possibly long, drawn-out investigation becomes focused in the few hours just after it happened. Solving a murder is like putting a puzzle together. It's a rush when the pieces seem to fall into place, creating a picture of the murder. The bedroom at the other end of the house belongs to the daughter, Daphne. The glow of the computer monitor lights the room and parts of the hallway. I wonder if the modem is still connected to the computer, or if it was cut on the wires outside. Computers seem to be showing up more and more at crime scenes. Sheriff J.B. Smith enters the front door and meets us in the hallway. Quiet does not describe the sheriff, and he's asking questions in a booming voice. He has survived Smith County politics longer than I have. He does not restrict himself to administrative matters, although with more than 200 employees and one of the largest jails in the country, he has plenty of administrative matters to worry about. Judge, don't you have better things to do on Christmas morning? Asked Sheriff Smith, extending his hand. I'd probably just be sleeping, I answered, taking his hand. They're telling me we got a damn double homicide on Christmas Day. Oh, shit. Ain't there nothing sacred anymore? We walked down the hall, Sheriff Smith obviously agitated. Daphne's room looks like a typical teenager's room, with pictures taped on the wall, a messed up bed, and a few items of clothing scattered around the furniture and floor. On the open closet door is written, I heart denario. Does this mean she loves money, I asked. Probably a boyfriend, the sheriff says, and he's probably in these pictures. He points to several pictures. Most reveal a white teenage girl grinning among several black kids and all giving gang signs. I bet you will find denario in these pictures. He's right. In the closet, a sweater hangs lopsided, a .38 revolver in one pocket. Recently fired, Roscoe says. He smells the weapon. At the bottom of the clothes basket, we find a laser sight. Maybe they were planted, I suggested, looking at an older frame picture, maybe a school portrait of a smiling young teenager. I find it hard to believe that the contented face and smile I'm looking at belongs to the person who could or would do such a thing. I know what kids can do, however. I've seen it before, and I've seen it since. We look at all the angles, says Detective Rasco. He knows the criminal cases are lost and go unsolved, and killers escape punishment because possibilities are overlooked. Prosecution often requires not only proving what happened, but also proving what did not happen. At 9:30 a.m., I make some notes. Estimated time of death, 4 a.m., pronounced dead, 9:30 a.m. I go to the office to finish the inquest. "Come on," Faye says over the phone. "We're at Mom and Dad's about to open presents." "Any coffee?" "I just made a fresh pot." "I'll be there shortly." "Yeah, quick," she says. Years later, Sheriff Smith wrote a book titled "The Christmas Day Murders, a True Crime Chronicle, Texas Style." I'll let him tell you about the investigation, the convictions, the whodunit part of this story. I didn't even get a footnote in his book. There are always people on the sidelines making things work. Someone answered the 911 call. Someone made the original response. Emergency medical personnel responded, and someone put up crime tape, logged in names, secured the scene, took fingerprints, took pictures, bagged evidence, bagged the bodies, and transported the bodies. I did the inquest. What happened there around 4 a.m. directly affected the Christmas day of more than 100 people. Team players like these all have stories like this one. Too many of them. Daphne continues to spend her Christmases in the Texas Department of Corrections with her inmate friends. This particular story is how the family and friends of Daphne will remember Christmas Day 1999. Over the years, we replaced so many light bulbs on the antique strand of lights that it looked like all the modern ones with the little colored light bulbs. I don't think Frosty the Snowman ever burned out. Now, we use a fake tree with LED lights. We usually spend about an hour trying to find the single light that failed, killing the rest. The kids come in when they can. Most of the bedrooms remain empty. On Christmas Day, they chase their own families, those of boyfriends and in-laws. With the kids out of the nest, our Christmas dreams and expectations are not the childlike ones they used to be. With the grandkids, however, I see good possibilities of a revival. Truth be told, if you'd asked me last week, what were you doing on Christmas Day 1999, I would have answered, probably just celebrating Christmas, like usual.